Thank you so much for joining, Craig Mokhiber.
Good to be with you, Katie.
Great to be with you as always. Always a learning experience and incredibly informative. By the time people are watching this, we will both be in or on our way to Istanbul for the Gaza Tribunal. So tell people what this Gaza Tribunal is, how it came about, and also I was talking to some, very sympathetic people the other day about it, and they were kind of like, "Well, why does this matter? Will it have any implementation?" So, sorry to start off with a hardball question, but
That's an oddball question for sure, for sure. Well, the Gaza Tribunal is a people's tribunal in the tradition of the Russell Tribunal during the American aggression in Vietnam. And there have been several such, Russell-style tribunals through the years, which are, as the name suggests, people's tribunals. They are not waiting for official institutions to judge the crimes that are unfolding before our very eyes. And 2 years of accelerated genocide in Gaza that we have all to which we have all been witness has created a lot of responses from people. Right, you have the people's marches to Gaza, you have the people's flotillas sailing across the Mediterranean, you have the people's encampments in universities, the people's demonstrations on the streets of capitals around the world, and you have this people's tribunal that was established to assemble prominent personalities, international lawyers and jurists and activists and writers and philosophers and others to come together from across the globe to pass a moral judgment on the crimes being perpetrated by the Israeli regime and to stand in solidarity with the call for Palestinian justice. And this tribunal has been meeting over the course of the last year and a half or so. It met in London in its inaugural meeting to formulate its plans. It met later last year in Sarajevo for its first public hearings. It is going to be meeting again in Istanbul from the 23rd to the 26th of October. In between, it has been receiving evidence and testimony from experts and from witnesses and from survivors. This particular tribunal was the initiative in the first instance of Professor Richard Falk, who many of your viewers will know as a prominent public international lawyer and professor and public intellectual who functions very much in the tradition of Bertrand Russell, the founder of the original Russell Tribunal. But also, this tribunal includes a number of highly regarded Palestinian voices, including prominent human rights defenders and international lawyers and activists and writers and poets, people like Raji Sourani, who is a member of the steering committee. I sit on this steering committee together with Richard Falk and Raji Sourani, Professor Michael Link, Jamil Aidan, Professor Penny Green. And when we come together in Istanbul, we will be hearing statements from people like Francesca Albanese and Angela Davis and Arundhati Roy and Cornel West, Mustafa Barghouti, Haider Aid, David Swanson, Naomi Klein, and others. And then in addition, we'll be listening to expert testimony from people like Avi Schleim and Usama Makdisi and Rabia Egbaria and Yanis Varoufakis and Noura Erakat, who has been on your show, who's also a member of the steering committee of the tribunal. So a lot of names that will be familiar in the medical testimony. We'll hear from people like Dr. Ghassan Abu Sitta,
wow.
Dr. Mads Gilbert, who have both been, on the ground and can provide direct testimony. We'll hear from survivors
Very
and
important. Yeah.
witnesses as well. Journalists like Abu Bakr Abed,
Cool.
writers Ahmed Al Nouk, Jeremy Corbyn will be there talking about some of the crimes. We'll be looking at the crimes as they've been committed, but we'll also be looking at complicity. Complicity by the media, by weapons manufacturers, by technology companies, by states that have failed in their international obligations, either by failing to take the necessary action that they're obliged to take under international law, or by being variously complicit in the genocide. Countries obviously like the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and others. We'll also be looking at getting testimony on failures of the international system. Why has the international system failed to provide an adequate response when it was specifically built up after the Second World War for just these sorts of situations? And we'll be hearing from some great voices like Ardi Imses, Professor Asla Bali, Mary Kaldor, and others on that. I'll be testifying on that subject as well. But we'll also be looking at resistance and solidarity, what that has meant in the defense against genocide and apartheid and occupation from people like Ramzi Baroud and Wadia Saeed, Jeff Halper,
Is he
Jamal
going
Jum.
to be there in person?
I don't know if he's there in person or if he'll be
Yeah.
participating virtually. A number of participants will be virtually participating via video directly as well. We'll have
No
people.
relation that we know of, but he's a great helper, and we always enjoy having him on, yeah.
Yeah, he's the other great helper.
Yeah.
Uh, the people from the Hind Rajab Foundation will be there. The people from the Samud Flotilla will be represented. The people from BDS will be represented as well. And all of this is going to be presented to a jury of conscience. And the names of the prominent members of the jury of conscience are going to be released, I think, in a day or two, for them to make a determination on all of this evidence and on accountability for the Israeli regime and on what needs to happen going forward to ensure that accountability from all of us. And so that again is going to be in Istanbul. It will be broadcast live from the 23rd to the 26th of October. Of course, Istanbul is a different time zone from where many of your listeners are. So they'll be able to watch that on YouTube or on the website of the Gaza Tribunal at their convenience. So that is the Gaza Tribunal, and this is the ultimate sitting of the Gaza Tribunal and its jury of conscience to reach a final determination on the crimes that are being perpetrated. You ask me what good it is, and my answer to
And
that
that was
is
a rhetorical leading question. I obviously think it does good because 'cause I'm going to cover it, but yes.
yeah,
Yep.
you'll be there, which I think is terrific, and it is good. I mean, these sorts of initiatives, we as a tribunal don't have the power to arrest the perpetrators and to make them pay for their crimes, but we do have the power to archive evidence, to
Right.
provide the analysis, to publicize what it is that has been happening, to arrive at a moral and ethical judgment, even that incorporates principles of international law as well. To be sure, we've got a lot of prominent jurists on the tribunal, and to help to build the cause of justice, to bear witness to these atrocities and these long-standing injustices, and try to help to build the cause for justice at a moment when all official institutions, the governments of the West, the governments of the region, international institutions are all increasingly complicit now, especially after Trump's 20 points of colonialism, in trying to just change the page without providing accountability for the perpetrators or redress for the victims. And that's, I think, what we're hoping to contribute to.
Is there I mean, what you're saying is it's already incredibly valuable, even as just a documentation and archiving of these crimes that need to result in accountability, but there is power and significance in just recording them. Is there precedent for things like this to be used later on to create any accountability?
There is. I think there's going to be direct evidence offered here. And one of the things that the tribunal is doing is it's creating an archive of evidence in which all of these things will stored and can be shared with those who are actually seeking justice. One of the big fears about what has been happening in Gaza is that Israel has been working very hard to destroy evidence, to murder witnesses, to incarcerate witnesses, to clean up its tracks, to raise everything to the ground, and that's where every archive becomes valuable in the quest for accountability and justice. So the purpose of this tribunal is not to serve the processes of, let's say, the ICC or the ICJ, but much of what we will be revealing and analyzing and archiving will be relevant to the work of those seeking to hold perpetrators accountable, for sure.